I've made a lot of headway since you've seen this table last. Today I'm going to be focusing on how to make this piece in the center. Now I know it just looks like a block of wood. A lot of work actually went into making this. I'm not going to show you how to shape it. If you want to see that, you can look at my prior video. So all the pieces that I create, I design them from scratch. I also machine all the wood from scratch. So I forgot to mention this in the last video. You saw some joints that I had already cut and made into the wood where it fit together a certain way. All that wood started off as very raw wood. It had a lot of imperfections in it. It wasn't flat, it wasn't square. So the first thing that we're gonna do is take everything. We're gonna use this piece of walnut that I have to create a stringer that goes in between the legs to stabilize them. And it's gonna end up, I'm gonna cut it into 4 pieces, and I'm gonna connect them and glue them in different ways, and I'm gonna make a miter joint like this and a miter joint like this that's gonna fit into the little sockets that I created on the legs. So before I can do that, I have to bring the wood to a flat surface, and I gotta get the edges at 90 degrees. So the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna use my belt sander first, and that's gonna give it a nice flat side that I can put onto the jointer. And the jointer, I'm going to use that flat side as a reference to create a 90-degree angle on the edge. Then I can machine it from there and do whatever I want. So this is the finished piece of wood after it's been through the sander many times. I had to take a lot off. This particular sander is only a 10-inch sander. It's not really made for large pieces of wood like this. I got it for guitar making, but it suits the purpose. So you see me in the video feeding it through and kind of helping it through, because otherwise it would get stuck and it would create divots in the wood. So the wood grain for walnut is incredibly beautiful. This is the wood just by itself, only at 80 grit sandpaper. It's just incredibly beautiful. And some of you are probably thinking, well, there's imperfections, there's cracks in the wood. Yes, there are. And that is one of my favorite things about woodworking, is showing the little imperfections or hiding them strategically. Now I'm gonna put it on the jointer. This is my jointer over here. There's a fence that's at a 90-degree angle, which I'm gonna run it along, and then it's gonna go through the cutters and create a straight edge. So this is the finished edge after going through the jointer. It's a 90-degree angle, much cleaner than the other side. All right, now that I have a 90-degree edge on it, I'm gonna lay it this way. If you've never used a table saw before, I'm gonna explain to you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take it along that fence through the blade. I'm gonna cut it 4 times. And it's called rip cutting. And I'm gonna set the fence at the desired measurement here, which I have yet to figure out. And I'm gonna end up with 4 equal pieces of wood. So I cut them in 4 pieces, and this is how they're gonna fit back together. Okay, there's gonna be 2 here, there's gonna be 2 here. Now, I'm gonna make angles like this, making miter cuts at a 45-degree angle. I marked them so I know which ones go with which, because I got a nice flat joint that I wanna glue up eventually, so I wanna make sure I know where they go. So this is a really cool feature of the SawStop saw. It was a pretty penny, but this is a sliding miter table, okay? From down here it unhinges, it unlocks, and the whole thing moves like this. So when you're going into the blade, you're not moving the piece of wood or using a miter slot like they have here. Instead, you're moving this entire contraption, which is really cool. So I just need to adjust it, and then I'm gonna make all the various cuts, and we're gonna fit them back together. I'm opting to tilt the blade because I really wanna show you guys the feature of how cool this sliding miter table is. So I set this miter table at 0, and instead I tilted the blade. All right, so I'm still gonna make the exact same cut, I'm just gonna do it in a different way. And I wanna use the stop. So what's really cool about this sliding miter table is it's got this piece that comes out like this. And not only does it come out like that, but it and backs the wood here, but it supports the wood from below here as well, as you can see. Okay, so I put the stop on this side. I'm gonna figure out exactly where I need to bring that to get it to my desired length, which is 47 inches. So I'm gonna place the already mitered edge of the wood up against that stop, like this. All right, and I'm gonna put it up against that stop over there so I get the exact same cut, and all the pieces are identical. So when I glue them together, it comes out to be one piece. So I used a little creative ingenuity here, because if I just use the stop the way it is, the wood slips under because of the miter cut. So I just put a little block there, and I measured so that where that mark is, each one of the pieces will come out to the exact same dimension. So here we have my clamping process. It's kind of crazy. I already have one piece clamped the way I wanted to. This is going to be the one where it comes like an arrow. So I have it clamped to not only to each other, the two pieces, but I also have cowls over it. These little things here are called a cawl that you're using to push it down into the table so that it makes it nice and flat, so that when I go to glue up the next piece, it's gonna be the same. So this is beforehand, and I haven't done any of that yet. I've got everything ready. Got clamps, everything's facing the way it needs to be faced. When you start working with glue, you only have a certain amount of time where it stays pliable, and it's usually plenty of time, but the worst thing you can do is try and search for something or not have it like you need it. I also have wax paper underneath so that the tabletop is protected and the pieces don't stick to the table, because you're going to get squeeze out like this. That's okay, that's a good thing. That shows that there's plenty of glue in the joint and that it's making contact. And after I'm done gluing everything, I'm going to go back with a chisel and chisel off the extra glue. I give myself a little spritz, clean myself off, and go smoke a cigarette. So these are the two pieces after I ran them through the sander. You saw me sanding by hand. All I was trying to do is get the glue residue off, because I didn't want to get my drum sander full of glue, because then I have to change the paper. It's a lot easier to change it on the hand sander. Then I ran it through to get it nice and flat, and what I'm going to do is glue it, and I'm using this little stop here to line up the end pieces to make sure that they're the same, at the same length, because it's kind of a funky piece. So I'm going to glue this, and then we should have one solid piece. Alright, so here's the piece that we created. So basically what I did is transformed one piece of wood into another. So as you can see that it has two different ends on it, and it's designed to fit right into the legs. So here we go. Let's see if it actually works. The moment of truth. So this is the finished product. This is what it looks like after I've shaped it. Okay. As it was in the video, did not fit. I made some major miscalculations. My geometry teacher would not have been very proud of me. So I had to add a little piece in there. But in the famous words of Bob Ross, there are no mistakes, just happy accidents. So I've already sanded it to 320 grit, and if you look closely, you can see that this fits, all the pieces fit together right there. I'm gonna glue this section up, and I'm also gonna glue this section up, and then I can start to put a finish on it. I'm not going to glue this cross beam, this stretcher. That's going to get screwed on so that it can be taken off. All the pieces are going to be able to be disassembled if we ever need to move the table for any reason, because if not, this would be a very, very heavy piece to move. I hope you enjoyed what I showed you in this video, and I hope to do a lot more tutorial videos. At some point I'm also going to be making a guitar video, how to make a guitar, which takes about 4 months, so that video will be a very long video. If you enjoyed it, subscribe, like, comment, and we'll see you soon.